on screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood wands of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful. Friends, welcome back to Rogue Soul. We're tonight talking about Hantavirus, whether or not we care. Of course we care, but do we care? Do we think it's a big deal? Do we think we need to be worried about it? Yeah, we'll see. So we're going to get into all the different aspects of it, try to see through whatever aspects of what might be illusion, and also, as always, talk about how to be prepared for anything, because that's what we can do as souls here in these bodies on earth while we're alive. So let's do it. You, of course, can go to roguesoul.org if you ever want to connect further with me, grab my books, get one-on-one sessions with me, tarot, past life, sound healing, and more. If you want to join us for things like the Lightning Oracle that I do every Tuesday night, where you get a message channeled through from your guides or allies, there, answer a question, anything like that. That's all on the site at roguesoul.org. You can sign up for the email list, make sure you stay in touch, all kinds of good stuff there. roguesoul.org. You can also go to rogueways.substack.com, where I have everything that I have published, written for you, all sorts of things, writings about religion, philosophy, spirituality, and more experiences. The most recent, of course, is a collection of some of the channeled messages that have come through from the spiritual ancestors, called the Alien Files, because we've got the alien releases happening, the UFOs, UAPs, the government's releasing those files. So there's a collection of things that the spiritual ancestors have said about aliens, UFOs, UAPs, and more, what I've been guided to understand about them, experiences that have connected with the actual intelligences that are in the universe, which, by the way, are not contained in most of those releases that the government's given us. That's here and more. All sorts of good stuff here at rogueways.substack.com. Come subscribe for free and be up to date. Get notified when there's things like the upcoming blessing that's going to be happening. I think it's this Friday. This coming up Friday here. And more. That's all there at rogueways.substack.com. If you want to also subscribe at the paid level, you get access to so much more there. Plenty for free, lots more for the paid supporters. So thank you for all of you who are subscribed or supporting there at rogueways.substack.com. So we'll start here. Hantavirus. We're told by Mary Tally Bowden, MD, on X, Hantavirus is an RNA virus. I want to pause there and just say, there's no evidence that any viruses have ever existed, but what viruses supposedly are is mRNA, or sorry, just RNA. And so I don't know if you remember learning that when you were in school of whatever variety, but that's what viruses are. So when she says hantavirus is an RNA virus, what she could also have said is all viruses are RNA viruses. If they exist as described, that's what they are. And she says, therefore, ivermectin should work against it. Now, she's a doctor, a medical doctor, who is saying this. She says ivermectin blocks RNA viruses from entering the nucleus, inhibits viral replication, disrupts the integrity of the viral membrane, and can prevent viral replication. And so there's a note added by readers on X that say lab studies show ivermectin can block certain viral proteins from entering the cell's nucleus. However, hantavirus does not replicate in the nucleus. It does so in the cytoplasm. The mechanism described cannot apply. No clinical trials have tested ivermectin against hantavirus. That seems to be true too. Would it work? I don't know. You know, the thing about ivermectin is it's relatively insanely safe. So if you and your medical professional decided that ivermectin was right for you, I don't know that it would matter really what you're testing it against, because last count, the biggest overdose of ivermectin ever recorded was something like 200 times the highest recommended dose. And that person just had an upset stomach for a day or two. So that's, so if you could take 200 times the highest legal limit or recommended dose in humans and just have an upset stomach, it's pretty safe. So I would never recommend that. I would never recommend you do that with any drug. Don't take them off label. Always talk to your death dealer / doctor about what's right for you, of course. And at the same time, And it sounds like it shouldn't hurt anyone no matter what they're trying it for. So, maybe she's wrong about how it replicates and whether or not ivermectin specifically would work. And also, if it's never been tested, how would we know? I guess we'd have to find out. So that's an interesting thought. We also have this from Liz Churchill on Twitter. She says, "Did you know that the World Health Organization has been planning pandemics and that they have the vaccines made years in advance?" Below, we have WHO virologists stating that they're going to implement the decade of pandemics. This has been our plan, she says in this video, for quite some time. It's a very real video. It is the World Health Organization virologist. She is being interviewed by someone from Amsterdam, and she is saying exactly that. Out of context, what is the context? Ideally, what we would hope, if all of these people are above board at just doing what's actually best and acting from their own highest intelligence and best interest of the people on the planet, that they would be talking about, we have to just be able to plan for these things. So this is the decade where we're really going to get serious about how do we fight when pandemics actually break out. That's ideally what's being said. Is it possible that what they're actually saying when this virologist is in Wuhan, while she's talking, by the way, is what they're actually saying is, get ready for what we've planned for you? That's possible too. And we know for sure that there is a correlation between a lot of these people at these levels running simulations like Event 201 and publishing things like the Lockstep document, and then all of a sudden those exact things take place in real life. Almost like they were planned. Oh, they were. Almost like they were practiced. Oh, they were. So are they the ones actually doing it? I don't know. We seem to have a lot of evidence of that, but I guess we can't say for absolutely sure. But here's another person who seems to be saying that. We've seen Bill Gates say things like, hey, all we have to do is get really good at vaccinating and the population will go down. And then we have all sorts of stuff that's very, very fishy. So you can always look and say, is this being taken out of context? This clip, by the way, is only 35 seconds long. 35 seconds can definitely be enough, or I should say little enough, to be taken wildly out of context. So I haven't listened to the larger clip, maybe do your own homework, but we seem to see indications of this every time we have some kind of an outbreak, right? Some kind of outbreak. This time, of course, Hantavirus from that cruise ship that was it going to Antarctica, which is also interesting because there's all sorts of weird stuff about Antarctica. And as many people pointed out, it's our Antarctic winter. If you were going to go to Antarctica, wouldn't you maybe go in summer? Antarctic summer? It's still not going to be, I think, very warm. I don't think you can plan on it being, balmy at any time. But wouldn't that be the time that you would go on a cruise? When you're not, these are lay people. And I don't know, maybe they go all year long. It's none of my business. You do what you want. Lots of people like to go to cold places. But it is an interesting timing. It's an interesting cruise to have Hantavirus break out on. And then, of course, no one would let them dock and all of that. And now we've been talking about this, I think, for over a week. So, maybe the WHO has someone say that they were planning a decade of pandemics, and they do seem to keep indicating, like, you just get ready for the next one. It's going to be crazier than COVID. And you're like, well, I hope not. But, like, you guys are insane. So we'll see. We will see. And then we have Jay Anderson sharing this at Project Unity, saying, when you realize the new fear virus being pushed by the media, which is Hantavirus, was also listed as an adverse side effect of the COVID vaccines. And now people are trying to debunk this and say that was never said. That's doctored. That's a screen share, like edited image, blah, blah. No, this is the actual documentation. And it actually does say that. It doesn't just say, just pulmonary, whatever. It says hemorrhagic pneumonia, hemorrhagic varicella syndrome, hemorrhagic encephalopathy, hantavirus pulmonary infection, Hashimoto's encephalopathy. How many modern diseases like Hashimoto's or hantavirus like this were actually put into various injections and then spread or emanate in that way? It's an unknowable quantity. We cannot define that answer. We don't know. This happens to be on page 33, by the way, of this document, which is the cumulative analysis of post-authorization adverse event reports from the COVID injection. So yes, this is a documented effect of the COVID injections is hantavirus. It's literally listed as hantavirus pulmonary infection. That's in the document, but I find it even more significant that it's on page 33. 33. Now, I always am the one to warn you, not every 33 is like a Illuminati. It's not every 33 is the Masons. But a lot of times they do use 33 as one of their signals of like on the nose, right? Like, hey, you and I know this is one of the codes letting you know, yes, this is planned. Yes, this is us. Here's our signature. So we can never say every 33. 33 is just a number that exists, and it does get used by normal people for normal purposes. In fact, it's encoded into our body as a sacred number. It's the number of vertebrae we have in our spine. But they also tend to use it as an interesting way to kind of show everyone what is plotted, planned, and staged or completely fake. And so interesting. The hantavirus is literally documented as a side effect of the injections on page 33 of this FDA official document from BioNTech and more. By the way, you can look it up. FDA SCBER 2021 5683-00000086. Go find it on page 33. You'll see that. So there's that. Again, a lot of people are like, that's not real. That's not real. It's been debunked. No, it's not been debunked. It's just people have said that it's debunked. Has it actually been there? You can't debunk it because it is actually there in the document. But you can say it's debunked to pretend that it is. And when people say that enough, as we know, right, neurolinguistic programming, you repeat something often enough, most brains just then accept it as true. So no, it's not debunked. Here it is on page 33. You can find the document yourself. You can find it in the document yourself. There it is. So here we are. We have someone seeming to say that they were going to plan a decade of pandemics for us, and then we had COVID, and now we're having this. We have this document that says hantavirus is an effect of the injections that supposedly 70% of the population got over the past 5 years. Many of them multiple injections of it. And here we are. And here we are. We have Nicholas Hulsher, MPH. I don't know what that means, but some degree, master's in something, master's in physician, PhD maybe, physical health. I'm not sure, but he is an epidemiologist and administrator at the McCullough Foundation, so maybe a little bit more honest and real. He says the U.S. Army already ran a clinical trial with an Andes strain hantavirus DNA gene therapy injection, the exact same strain behind the cruise ship outbreak. 98% of participants suffered adverse events. The DNA plasmid was created at the Fort Detrick Base BSL-4 Army lab. By the way, that's the exact lab where many people believe whatever COVID is was created and leaked from, Wuhan being the red herring, right? And Fort Detrick being the actual place. Definitely possible. Who knows? Fort Detrick, therefore, would maybe be a good candidate for future potentially planned leaks of whatever we're calling this thing, virus or otherwise. And that the Army already ran these clinical trials is something we also saw in COVID. We saw that there were coronavirus trials of all kinds of vaccines over many years, and 100% of them caused death and adverse effects at a nearly 100% rate. So when they rolled out those injections, I was like, well, A, I was already never going to take another injection anyways, and B, I already saw your record on coronavirus. I'm like, no, this one's great. I'll let everyone else can have it. I'll add the goodness of my heart. I'll allow everyone else to have this and not me. So I definitely won't be taking anything personally. My personal decision is to not also take anything, even if hantavirus is just ripping everyone apart around me and they're all falling out dead. I would still not take it. That's just me. I'm okay with that. So, you do you, but they've already tested this, the exact strain. What are the chances, right? The Andes strain of hantavirus in a DNA gene therapy injection. They're calling it a DNA gene therapy injection because that's really what the coronavirus injections should have been called and weren't. You can call them mRNA, you call them whatever you want. They were plasmid DNA doses, which, by the way, wasn't what they patented for, wasn't what they tested, and then they released it anyway, which is illegal. And so these are no different. So we'll call them what they are, DNA gene therapy injections instead of vaccines. And 98% of adverse effects from that injection. So already tested, already know the outcome, not going to be taking it this time. Personally, me and my medical professionals have decided it's not right for me. So good to know, just like COVID. Here's the patent, by the way, again from Liz Churchill. For hantavirus mRNA vaccines, it's from 2025. So you patented in 2025, and then, oh, look, in 2026, you have this outbreak. By the way, let's not tell anyone there was 98% adverse effects when we injected people with the exact same thing in the past. You might say, how did they inject people with it if they didn't patent it until 2025? You don't have to patent things, and also if you switch it just a little bit, you can patent something new. So there's all kinds of reasons, but this is US patent application, and it is number US 2025-012578-0A1. If you want to look it up, it was April 24th, 2025. And it describes this patent. It says, our investigation to the field of hantavirus pathology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they have their patent for this vaccine. This, however, also has a reader note. We'll see it says the patent document shown doesn't exist for hantavirus vaccines. That number corresponds to a patent on a transistor circuit. It's not mRNA technology. Oh, and someone else says, yes, it's AI edited. Okay, well, good. Okay, let's actually just investigate a little bit further. Is there a patent for mRNA? Is there a patent for hantavirus mRNA vaccine? Yes. This is the exact same one though. So this is an example of how AI is often wrong because it's using things like Reddit and Twitter, and it doesn't get the community notes. Oh, nope, this is actually one. I don't know, because it has the same date and the same patent number, but this one says it was actually filed in 2022. So that would be a totally different one. Let's see. Google patents, there's one. US patents, mRNA vaccines. Those are the only two that would be worthwhile. So let's see what they are. One solution to the problem of hantavirus pathology is design, production, administration of nucleic acid vaccine, NAV. Yeah, and this one's real. This actually has the same number. So they combined a real hantavirus vaccine permit. I don't know why they changed it just to make people think it was fake. Apparently, because this is, again, Google patents.google.com. It's not fake. You can look it up right now. Viral antigens. So yeah, it is a patent for an injection for hantavirus. I think the main difference, no, in the case of DNA and RNA-based vaccines, yeah, so it is for DNA and RNA. So this is interesting. We've had this before where I've showed you guys where the real document exists, the actual thing exists, but they purposely make it look altered, or they purposely fub something in it so that they can say, look at how stupid all the conspiracy theorists are. They thought this was real. And then all the conspiracy theorists think, oh, wow, how stupid I was to just run with this without checking. But actually, there is a true thing under it. It was intentionally misleading to make everybody dismiss it. So you heard it here. I don't know if anyone else has found that yet, but it's 2022. So it's 3 years older than is said, and it is for DNA, RNA-based injections for vaccine against hantavirus. Same patent number. So check that out. So it does exist. It was there. It usually is a little bit further back, not just the same year or right before that something like that happens and then the outbreak occurs. But you never know with these people. All sorts of things can happen. I don't know why that's open. Oh, because I opened it, right. All right, so there is actually the patent there. And here we have another interesting twist to the story, this time from MJ Truth Ultra, who says, here's when 323 vials of deadly viruses went missing from Queensland, Australia laboratory, including samples of the fatal Hendra virus, Lissa virus, and Hantavirus. In 2021, they went missing. In 2023, an internal audit discovered they went missing in 2021. So it took them 2 years to find out that it had gone missing. In 2024, the Queensland Health Minister announced that it went missing and an investigation was launched. And in 2025, the investigation found the deadly samples likely vanished during a freezer failure and bad record keeping, and the public should not worry if they were stolen because, quote, experts suggest the viruses would likely degrade outside of specialized low temperature freezers. And yet here we are in 2026 with an outbreak of hantavirus. Pretty weird. And you know, The silly thing about this is like, don't worry, because you would have needed a specialized freezer to keep them alive. Well, don't you think that someone who was stealing them knew that? Don't you think the reason they stole them was so that they could use them, perhaps for something nefarious? And by the way, it's always going to be easy for somebody to steal these things, which is one good argument of why we probably shouldn't do gain of function or other things like that with these types of materials if they exist. And so there's that. She also says the X-Files Hantavirus connection gets weirder. So the X-Files also talked about Hantavirus. That's not that weird. The X-Files, I think, has probably talked about almost every virus that has the potential to kill people. And by the way, the current strain, as we talked about last week, isn't deadly enough to kill most people. That's why everyone on the ship isn't dead. They talk about the ability for it to potentially mutate out and about and maybe become more deadly exists, but is very unlikely. So, there's that. But X-Files has talked about Ebola and all sorts of things that aren't even realistic and things that are. So not that weird. But she says the X-Files Hantavirus connection gets weirder. Cigarette smoking man, if you're familiar with the show, finally revealed the syndicate's alien deal. In Texas, Hantavirus outbreak was a cover for a human alien hybrid program to survive impending colonization. So we were going to be colonized by aliens in the X-Files, and they had this Hantavirus outbreak in Texas, and it was just a cover to be able to maneuver a human alien hybrid program. So season 6 of Cigarette Smoking Man revealed the syndicate had learned of an impending alien colonization of Earth and chose cooperation over resistance. In exchange for aiding the extraterrestrials, the aliens supplied the group with alien DNA. The syndicate then used this genetic material to secretly engineer human-alien hybrids intended to survive the coming invasion and apocalypse. Family members of key participants, including Mulder's sister, were surrendered as part of the Grim Agreement. This entire plot was already quietly set up in the 1998 movie The X-Files Fight the Future, which bridges seasons 5 and 6 in a small Texas town where kids discovered an underground cave full of the alien black oil virus. Black goo, it's always in there somewhere. The same virus central to the colonization and hybrid program. People got infected and died horribly. FEMA swooped in with full biohazard response, quarantined the area, recovered the bodies, pumped out the oil, all while the public was told it was just a contained hantavirus outbreak, a real rodent-borne virus. Dr. Alvin Kurzweil later spelled it out to Mulder. The hantavirus story was the perfect cover. It let the syndicate hide the alien virus testing and continue their secret hybrid work without triggering mass panic. The fake outbreak even led to a staged federal building bombing in Dallas to destroy the evidence. Recently, we've heard from Matt Gaetz, where he says he was told by a U.S. military officer about a top secret program where aliens were breeding with humans to make a hybrid race. By the way, Matt Gaetz literally shares the story where a guy just walked into his office and said that and then left. It's a nothing story. It means nothing at all. And he was just sharing it because it is a fun story for a normal person, but to a conspiracy theorist, they're like, aha, I knew it. And like, well, no, it's just like a low-level government guy who's just saying like some other guy walked in. It wasn't like another government operative. It wasn't like a CIA briefing. It was just some dude off the street. So not very compelling. And yeah, this is an interesting connection to X-Files. And they do seem to sometimes like to release truth in fiction, right? Predictive programming and whatnot. So maybe we do have the Alien Files release and we do have this going on now. And maybe there's some kind of overlap conspiratorially. I don't think so. But, it's a fun thread. So there you go. There it is. Back to reality. Tedros of the WHO, World Health Organization, says that he hopes this incident will make Argentina and the US, quote, reconsider their decisions, which were to withdraw from the WHO, as, quote, the best immunity we have is solidarity, and viruses don't care about politics, borders, or excuses. No, the best immunity we have is not solidarity, especially when you have proven that you are using this in order to remove sovereignty from nations and enact, protocols that have no science behind them and are literally just made up. They admitted the 6-foot rule was made up. They admit, we know it's not even a question. Masks do not stop you from getting sick. They do not stop you from infecting others. There is nothing the mask does. Surgeons admitted it way before this. I don't even want to go through it again. It's so ridiculous. We have over 400 studies that prove that masks do not stop viral contamination. You actually can't even prove viral contamination anyway, so of course they couldn't, but but we have those studies, and these people still were going to make every single person on earth mask up. They don't care if it's bad. They don't care if you get Legionnaire's disease. They don't care if your lungs are dying from the poop particles that you're growing in a petri dish of this sick, disgusting piece of toilet paper you have over your face. They don't care about your health. They care about compliance. So, no, it isn't. If you actually had everyone's best interests at mind, then sure, you could try to sell us on the idea that solidarity mattered. But because we know you don't, we have evidence of you being a liar and corrupted, then you couldn't be farther from the truth. So no. So I'm so happy that we're not part of the World Health Organization. So happy. Couldn't be happier. And Tedros, you can suck it. There's that. Here we have also the WHO confirming that ivermectin is not an effective treatment for hantavirus. By the way, again, that hasn't been studied. So if I came out and said something like that, I get deleted off YouTube, I get kicked off of TikTok, like every single platform except X maybe would kick me off and lower me even further in the algorithmic suppression. But this lady can just come out and say it and no response, no retribution. There's no, nothing. Nobody cares. Literally, it cannot prove that that's accurate. We just saw there's no studies on this. You cannot say it doesn't treat it. You cannot say it does treat it. You can't say anything about it because nobody studied it. So this lady, who can't even brush her hair, gets to get on and tell you a lie, a health-related lie, which would get every other person in the world banned. Every other person in the world no longer gets to have all the hard work that they've put into their channel and their content. She just gets to say it. Oh, she gets paid for it too. By the way, I'm positive that lady makes over 3 figures. 100%. Whoever that is. So screw that lady for lying to us. Again, who's going to lie to you? It's not going to be me. It's going to be that lady. It's going to be the WHO. It's going to be Tedros, whatever he's saying here. And here's what he says. The director of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros, says every country of the world is now expected to fall in line with his international health regulations because of hantavirus. So remember he said, oh, it's too bad the US and Argentina, they should learn better. We should all work together on this. And then within a few days, he said, you're expected to. We expect you to fall in line on this hantavirus thing. Well, I thought you told us that hantavirus is a low risk. That lady who just lied to us about ivermectin, she told us it was a low risk. She said there's nothing for us to worry about. She said this specific strain is so likely to not be deadly. It can't even really, hurt anyone that much. And, it might mutate, but it's very unlikely. And so it doesn't matter. So what are you talking about? I thought you just told us we don't have to worry. What are you planning? What did you bust out of an Australia lab, bring to Fort Detrick, make an mRNA patent in 2022 in order to get ready for this? But you told us that it doesn't matter, but now you're telling us we have to fall in line or else what? The world's going to get sick? How can it be both? Which one is it, Tedros? Whose boss are you serving? He says it's a moral obligation for nations to submit to and believe in his global health order. The World Health Organization, quote, it's only when we support each other that we can respond more effectively to viruses and outbreaks. That, again, would be nice, but you don't support us, do you? You lie to us over and over again. You gaslight us to an extreme amount, and you don't care at all about sovereignty. So no thanks. He said countries are expected to cooperate based on international health regulations. Oh, I don't care about your regulations. I care about what's law, what's God's law, universal law, cosmic law. That's all I care about. Your regulations don't mean anything to me. By the way, if you're going to bring back the specter of the neuro-linguistic programming of public health, I would hope all my listeners remember those lectures. Public health is not a thing. It was made up. There is no such thing as a health aspect of the public. And if we were going to pretend like we care about public health, you by no means would see all these people living on the streets just shooting up drugs, and they're just completely divorced from reality, disconnected from anything, almost always deeply mentally and emotionally severely unwell, and you're going to tell me you care about public health. No, I can see the fruits. I know who you are. You can lie all you want with your words. Your actions and their results speak much louder. Don't blow smoke up my ass, Tedros. Just lie to me. We're all in it together. No, we never were. Again, if we were, most of what you see out there would never be happening. You don't lie to me. I mean, we're in it together down here, but we always have been. You can look at Hurricane Helene. You can look at any major disaster. You can look at any actual event. You never told us. You don't need to tell us what to do. We know how to act together in order to support each other. And if it was such a problem, Hantavirus or otherwise, we'd do the same. This is what people do. We don't need you. So you can suck it again, Tedros. Tedros also says when the ships dock at Tenerife, passengers will be transferred to land at an industrial port, quote, away from residential areas, in sealed and guarded vehicles, through a fully cordoned corridor, and repatriated directly to their countries of origin. I see evidence otherwise. So you're lying again. You lied again. We saw it today of what actually happened, and that's not what happened. So you're lying again. I also don't trust you. You had this whole cruise ship full of people, right? I think 2 died. They're supposedly all elderly, and a lot of them are elderly and whatever. And so you would think, well, if this is a danger, like most of them would have been dead then. Elderly and young usually die first, immunocompromised, etc. They didn't die. And now you're taking them to these places. You're going to disperse them around the world. And then if something happens then, well, that would be highly questionable. You've had over a week with these people. You've released them intentionally. They didn't die. And then if people start dying, well, then we'll know that you planned this and that there's something to it, because none of that would make sense. You know the lie they're going to tell if that happens. Oh, it mutated. Oh, whoops. We thought it wouldn't mutate and it did. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. But also, like we said, if they did plan COVID, if they did plan this, if they are releasing something, whether it's whatever we call viruses, or it's some sort of toxin, or it's electromagnetic, right? You can follow from the telegraph to 5G, and every time we get some massive pandemic, every time they release a new electromagnetic mass released wavelength, right? Waveform, we get sick. You can trace that. It's 100%. So if it is a new one, if it's 6G, if it's whatever it is that you may have planned in order to make something happen, if that's the case, what we have said for the past 6 years is it'll be way worse than COVID was. Not fear porn, not doom porn. I'm saying these people don't operate in any other way. They planned it, they tested it with COVID, they saw what will work and what won't, and then that would be, if it happens again, that would be their real push. That would be the actual go. That was the test run, this is the real run. And so they would make sure that it was much deadlier, much more quickly. So we might see something. By the way, what I've said before too is it doesn't even have to be 5G, 6G, and those things. The sun is also acting up. The sun is in a cycle where the geomagnetic influence is extreme, especially because our magnetosphere is weak, because our core is crazy. It's divorced from the mantle now. The poles are all wobbly and fast moving. It's a crazy geomagnetic time. So as they've done before, when these dark forces plan things like this, they often take something that was going to happen anyways and try to make it look like they're the ones who did it. So there's this layer of deception where they're like, yeah, no, it's totally like this. And then beyond that, you're like, no, look, they planned this. And then beyond that, there's actually something else that was going to happen anyway, but they wanted you to think that they're so powerful that they can pull that off. So there's that too. So it's all multiple layers of potential misleading and delusion, or there might just be a little non-lethal hantavirus outbreak that has like nothing to do with anything, and it's just going to go away, because we saw that with Marburg and some of these other scares, and with the mpox and all sorts of stuff, that nothing really happened. So that hopefully is how it is. So yeah, they said they were going to do all that. They didn't. A bunch of people on the buses were shown not wearing masks. The driver wasn't wearing any kind of personal protection equipment, no mask, nothing. He's just wearing a normal driver clothes. So definitely not an extreme precaution taken like they said they were going to. Very different in reality from how they said it was going to be. And we see the videos of that. So many people responded to that saying, I thought you were going to take this seriously. I thought this was a big deal. Clearly you don't even care. That Tedros had to actually come out today and say, many of the passengers are elderly, and you can imagine how uncomfortable it could be when you have FFP2 masks. That's his excuse for why not everyone was wearing masks. That's what he says. So you were going to get like arrested, kicked out of places, not able to like have a child anymore or something, just crazy things if you didn't wear a mask, even if you were not sick, even if you had no illness, nothing, no symptoms, nothing. That's how it was before. But these people, we know for sure, were supposedly in this cruise ship with all of this Hantavirus, and it's so crazy that the whole world better get in line, but they don't need to wear masks. It doesn't make sense. You're just a liar. You'll just say anything and do anything. Everyone said, why are these people wearing masks? Well, they're old. What? I mean, I don't care if they're wearing masks or not. I don't care if there is or isn't a hantavirus. I don't care if people get sick and die or not. That's just life. It's not a big deal. I care as in, I'm sorry for anyone who's suffering. And I don't care as in, what did anyone think you were going to control all of the world for all of time and that no one was ever going to get sick? No, I'm just like not concerned, right? I don't need them to wear masks, but I just notice the hypocrisy. I notice the inconsistency. I notice that you're a piece of shit and that you just lie. You're just a liar. And whoever's bidding you're doing, Tedros, your own or otherwise, nobody likes you and nobody trusts you. I hope you do better. Maybe you'll have an awakening. Maybe you'll wake up and go, oh, this isn't very cool. I don't want to mislead the whole world. Maybe I'll be a better person now. That'd be great. We'll accept you with open arms, Tedros. There's always, always a way to be forgiven. So there's him just telling us it's okay why they didn't wear masks as they were leaving, even though they said it was going to be a big, real serious deal. And finally, the best of all for last, Hanta literally means scam. Now, Hantavirus existed way before this. Way before this. When I was young, maybe you too, I remember in health class one day, they're talking about like, don't ever go in anywhere where there's mouse poop. You're going to get Hantavirus, you're going to die a crazy, terrible death. You're like, damn, I am not going in the attic. Like, I'm not going under the house. I'm going to be real careful. It sounded real scary. Maybe you had that experience too. I don't know. I did. So it's not new. This isn't like some new thing. It's old, just like coronavirus is old. It's been here all along. But now they're doing this. And so people, of course, are always looking because there's always interesting word games going on, the 33 thing, things like that. They're tells that you can find over and over again, right? And so here we have Hanta, literally meaning lie. It means scam, nonsense, lie, or full of crap in modern Hebrew slang. And you know people are going to make a lot of the fact that it's Hebrew slang. You take that where you will, but it is a colloquial, informal Hebrew term used to describe fabricated stories. Fake news is Hanta. So I love that. It's true. It's fake news. Are they going to make it real? Is it going to get some people sick? I don't know. We'll find out. Is it going to then actually be some sort of evidence that there's this crazy Hantavirus? Not necessarily. Just like with COVID, was there an actual virus? No one ever proved it. No one ever proved it. Just like every virus that we've ever talked about. Never proven transmission. Never proven it exists. The end of that story. There's no more to that story. That's it. The only reason people can't believe that is because it's not what they were told. It's not what we were told. We're told we know exactly what viruses are and we can identify which virus where. And we can't. We actually cannot tell them apart from exosomes. As we talked about so many years ago with Andy Kaufman and everyone else, and here on Rogue Ways / Rogue Soul and otherwise, and here we are again, and they'll have the same exact set of people who says, of course, you're crazy, and they won't be able to accept it or understand it, and just because they can't understand it, they'll think they know better, even though really they don't understand it. And if there is something that comes out and people do get sick, whatever we're going to call it, we're going to see the same people crumble under the fear. So as I've said every time we've talked since the beginning of the show until now, it's never going to change. If you have fear inside of you, you are a controllable being, whether it's from another person, whether it's from an incorporeal entity, UFO, UAP, anything, angels, demons, anything, no matter what, they have the potential to control you because you have fear. You have to deal with your fear or else you will be controlled. You can't make rational decisions while you're afraid. No human can. You cannot. So you get afraid, and then they say do this and this, and you do it because you don't know what else to do. But you would know what to do if you could step outside of your fear, if you could let your fear go. And remember, the fear comes from deep down inside a fear of death, which is crazy because it's the only thing that was ever guaranteed to you was death. You were born, and there's one thing that you knew for sure from being born was going to happen, and it was death. You weren't guaranteed a number of breaths. You weren't guaranteed love. You weren't guaranteed safety. You weren't guaranteed a number of years. You weren't guaranteed family. You weren't guaranteed anything. No experience. Nothing. Except that you would die. One thing. And people love to say, and taxes. Yeah, that's funny. But really just death. So you're afraid of the one thing for sure you are already going to do. I've said it before too. Billions of people have died before you. It's okay. You're not going to do that alone. You're going to do it alone technically. You're surrounded by all the beings you've got. Technically, you want to get down to it, you've died countless times. Countless times. You've died so many times. You came back anyway, and you're going to do it again. So I suggest if you still have this fear of death, what is helpful for me, I think what might be helpful for anyone, you can try it if you want. If you go look in the mirror, you make eye contact with yourself and you say, I'm going to die. Maybe you like freak out, maybe tears and maybe sweat, maybe whatever. Cool, let it out. And then you do it again next time. Look yourself in the eye and say, I'm going to die. You make friends with your death. And you're going to be less and less afraid as you go. Ask for help, pray for help with that process. Ask God, ask Jesus to remove the fear for you. They're definitely going to help you do that. They always respond when they're asked for help from the goodness of your heart. It's not going to be different this time. Take that tool away from these people. They no longer get to control you. It doesn't make you fear less. It doesn't mean you're going to like run into the mouth of a lion. It just makes you less controllable. Less controllable when you don't have that fear. And may you find a way to release it if you have it. And if you don't have it anymore, God bless, hallelujah, help some other people release it too. Let's all be the least controllable people we can be. And until then, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
Glued to them screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. Hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause